launched my store at the end of 2023. In a big launch, had a bunch of sign up, and I don't think I sold anything for the first 8 days.
My name's Sasha. I've been helping new brand founders start and grow profitable e-commerce businesses. And I'm joined today by my co-host, Hammond Bamba, who's spent over $30 million on advertising and generated over $120 million for his clients. If you're a new founder, particularly looking to launch a new product and bring it to market, you must pay attention to in this session.
I noticed a lot of people launching and having very quick success within a few months. Realized I'd spent 20 grand on ads and made about 20 grand in sales. I thought, okay, something's not quite right.
I think you made a shift towards male chef individuals. That was a big pivotal moment. So what happened then after that you kind of took this shift?
The initial feedback I got was very good, but then it turned out to be a lot more challenging.
I remember when you run the ads initially, you just can I get a sale? Just one sale. And then I remember you got a sale. I'm like, hey, I want more sales.
That's right, yeah. So I think I finished September, 11 grand or so in sales. Had a $3 grand profit.
Damn, that's fantastic. Wow.
We literally went from 3K to 11K.
And you're like, oh my God, what the fuck are they doing?
We need to increase the ad spend 20% to even 50%. If you keep doing this, your business will double, triple in the next 2 months.
Paul, what do you think the biggest blocker is at the moment to being able to double ad spend tomorrow?
I think it's definitely content creation and creatives is probably my block. And my other big block is just...
Paul, welcome to the show, mate. It's fantastic to have you here. And thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, good morning. Great to be here, Sasha.
Absolute pleasure, my friend. So let's start off with perhaps a little bit around the idea of what you had initially when you first started this business some time ago. Talk me through what you were thinking, maybe the state that you were in with the career. How did that whole inception point come to be?
Okay, so yeah, if we wind back to early 2023, that's when I joined up with eCom and began the training process. My background is a chef, right? So, in terms of product selection, I had a couple of options, I think. And one of it was I was kind of looking either at a fitness-based product or something to do with cooking. And having spent a bit of time, prior to that, in Australia, visiting, family and friends, one of the things I kind of noticed was that everyone had, really terrible knives in their kitchen.
That sounds very much like your household.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, there's a bit of an opportunity there. Can I, sell high quality kitchen knives at a good price online and make it work? During a few months, done some research, dug out some knives and things, high quality. I'm quite fussy, but had a manufacturer in China, producing knives that were on par with something you'd get in Japan, but at a fraction of the price. Meantime, I worked on the avatar selection, etc. And basically, the avatar that I chose was, a kind of female foodie. Because if you go on Instagram or TikTok, pretty much with all the food content on there, 9 out of 10 content creators are female in that category. So I thought, okay, let's solve a problem here, and we went from there.
Yeah. And so talk me through that initial period, because obviously you went through, you picked the avatar, you picked the product, you tried to, match those two together. What were some of the initial kind of difficulties that you had around that in terms of just launching that product and being okay, so I think this person's the right kind of avatar, let's figure it out. What were some of those signals that you had back initially from when you were launching ads, when you were starting to, I guess, run traffic?
I mean, the initial feedback I got was very good. And that's kind of why I went down this path of, knives, female foodie. So we tested the product, gave out a bunch of samples, got really good feedback. So I thought, okay, no problem. We'll continue down this.
Right.
But then I think, when it came time to, for people to part with cash and spend, it turned out to be a lot more challenging. To actually get people to buy this product. And, I went through a bit of a process. I mean, when you build your store and you launch, there is a period of adjustment. You need to optimize your store definitely. So, and at this stage, you're not really sure, is it the product? Is it my site? Is it the advertising? It could be a whole bunch of things.
All of the above sometimes, yeah.
And for me, it was all the above. I mean, I came into e-commerce. I didn't have any prior experience, and my computer skill was kind of limited to, Word and Excel. So
I remember also just from the past, we did some calls and we talked about some things. I remember when you run the ads initially, like you're just like, can I get a sale? Just one sale, because you're not getting any sales. I just want to see a sale. And then I remember you got a sale. I'm like, hey, I want more sales. And this is like, it's almost like when you're launching, you're in an ocean, you're trying to find that fish. It's like, I get one, can I get more? And I remember we were talking about like the avatar and the angles, and I'll leave you kind of continue to tell the story. But I remember this was the first challenge. Can I get some sales? Like just one sale.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, and then when I launched my store at the end of 2023, I think, big launch, and I'd done like a pre-launch campaign, had a bunch of sign up, like email opt-ins and things, because I'd run a campaign, basically like a giveaway campaign. Everyone signed up for this, and I thought, no worries, this is going to be a winner. And launched, and I don't think I sold anything for the first 8 days. Had 1,000 sign-ups, but not a single
conversion. Wow.
So that's kind of when we started looking at, is it the ads, is it the website? And yeah, it was a real process. So I worked with Heyman and the team. Let's get the website looking good and optimized. That was a process. Then creating the ads, getting better content, bit by bit, building all this up. So probably by early 24, we had a better website, had better creatives and that, and was getting a few sales, but still nothing.
Talk me through, because one thing that I saw you do really well, from like I saw this massive shift, and I just want to know what you did around this, because like when I started to see your content game go from like you, for example, just like, I'm not sure, getting like models to take photos in the kitchens, etc., to starting, I think you made a shift towards going down that kind of like gifting to like food influencers and stuff like that. And then I started seeing a lot more of your content that was like, I don't know, these like male chef individuals like in the kitchen, pulling the meat off, cutting. Like I was like, this content, I'm like, whoa, like this really took a huge kind of lift into a different direction. So talk me through what you did there in terms of that content direction. Because I think like from the outside view, that was a big kind of like pivotal moment where things probably shifted into a little bit of that different avatar. And from me and my direction, I'm like, whoa, this brand is on another level now. Like that really transformed the perception of the company.
Yeah. So initially when I started, I used some paid content creators, but I just couldn't. I found that they couldn't use a knife, and they made it. The cutting technique was very terrible. And I'm a chef, professional chef, right? I'm quite fussy and people use knives and things. And I watched these guys struggle with my good knives, and I thought, no, this is not the way. They're going to do more harm than good. So then I thought, okay, what if I just gift some products out, give them out, and so that's kind of the path I went down. And it felt a lot more natural. Like when people kind of standing there reading a script, trying to cut an onion with a knife and, butchering it, didn't work. But if I give it to people that are already in this niche, let them do what they do, and it worked out much better. So that's kind of the arrangement I had was, I'll gift you a product, create me some reels kind of thing. So I didn't pay for any of these. Obviously I had to, it only works with influencers with a smaller following. Otherwise, so I kind of targeted people with less than 10K followers, said, look, I'll give you some product if you, create me some reels and collab with me. Yeah, no worries. And that's kind of how it went. And it went really well. And I got some really good creators now that just, took the product and ran with it.
I wanted to just go into that for 1 second, because what you said there is something that I think everybody needs to be a lot more aware of. So it's like, so think about it from this lens. So what you just said there, so you said, I'm a foodie and I'm very particular with, for example, being able to identify, it's like if someone knows what they're doing with the product, Makes sense. It's like you can see yourself as a foodie, as a chef. If someone's sitting there with, I don't know, on the kitchen bench, chopping an onion, chopping like a steak, and you're like, oh my God, what the fuck are they doing? You know what I mean? Like, and that creates so much distrust. And so it's like, if you think about what you're doing ultimately is like, you're trying to target a particular avatar. And so if they're going to pay a premium price for the product and they see their maybe like ideal avatar using the product, but fumbling it and kind of like, I don't know, inauthentically, disingenuously fucking it up, it's like, you're really creating this massive distrust with your ideal audience. And so this is why every time that I speak about creating content, particularly, it's always like, you want to have that mirror effect where it's like the people watching via their phone screens, as an example, they want to see that piece of content and be like, that's made for me. Oh my, it's that closeness, as if it's like I'm seeing someone that looks like me in the mirror in my own eyes. They're talking like me. They move like me. They have the same mannerisms. Oh my God, they're doing the movements with the knife in the expert level. And so it's like you probably almost like created a lot of distrust with the brand initially when you launched with this people fumbling and they're chopping carrots and the carrot freaking chunks are like this big and this small. It's like, oh my goodness, this is horrible to look at. You know, and I just wanted to highlight that because I think so many people, it's almost like they think they can shortcut quickly on some content, get a bit of, you know, ads from a few people that have no idea what they're doing, and they're not like, they don't look like the ideal avatar that would actually be using the product, and then they push them live and they're like, why isn't it working? And it's like, have you seen how disingenuous that so-called model looks like when they use the product? You know, so it's a really, really key point. And I think that was a very, you know, noticeable inflection point that I saw when I was like, these people, like these are kitchen pros. These are chefs. These are people that they're in there every day using the products. They're in the kitchen. They're mixing the foods and they're chopping the meat, doing those. And you could see it immediately. I was like, whoa. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that was highlighted. And I think everyone needs to be very conscious of the way that they select creators based on like, are they actually the type of people that use the product? Because if you can see it as the business owner and the founder, God knows that the audience can.
Yeah, that's right. I think, you know, the key thing is authenticity, right? It's got to come across as authentic.
Precisely. So what happened then after that? You kind of took this shift. You went from the female avatar, then you kind of noticed a little bit of a trend in terms of some of the creative that you were seeing back. Talk me through that next step.
So kind of what happened was, so early 24, I thought, okay, the product still wasn't selling because I launched with one type of knife. Okay, so I thought, okay, let's bring in some other knives and see how they sell. Maybe something that is a little bit more aesthetically, you know, impressive. So I did. So I brought in some more knives, got better photos, and they actually started to sell. But then what I noticed, the person that was buying them, it was mostly men, not the female target avatar. So I thought, okay, my avatar, you know, make a shift on that. So that's when I really started targeting the male consumer. And then kind of I noticed that those kind of the blokes that were cooking were typically, you know, barbecue or outdoors kind of cooking enthusiasts.
Right.
So that's kind of when I gradually took that shift more into the barbecue side of things, moving away from female cooking at home more to the bloke cooking the barbie in the backyard. Started to get some traction there. So ran with that for a bit, but then I still couldn't crack it. I was, you know, spending a lot of money on ads, and you know my ROAS was, you know, like 1 or something, you know. So, and it wasn't until kind of earlier this year that really, you know, I sort of, you know, within the ecom community, I noticed a lot of people launching and having very quick success, you know, within a few months. And I thought, hang on, I've been doing this for 18 months. And I sat down, I'd done the numbers and, you know, realized I'd spent, you know, 20 grand on ads and made about 20 grand in sales. I thought, okay, something's not quite right. So yeah, that's when I reached out to you guys.
Yeah. And I remember we had like this discussion where it was, these guys are getting success so fast. Like I feel like everyone is succeeding, but I'm not. And I remember you also mentioned to me, like in that process, well, I know how to do the website. I know how to do these things. I'm fast. Like I learned so much. I use ChatGPT. I know how to get things done. But what is the thing that I'm missing? And I remember you were actually questioning about that. Is it the store? Is it the product? Is it like, do you think I should pivot? Do you think we should do something else? And I remember you were actually looking at what is the thing, what it takes to succeed. And this case study, which I think it's an amazing case study in terms of how you built, like when you look at it, when you zoom in, you tested 2 products, second one, like 10K right away with 8+ ROAS. And it's like just insane, like scale that you're pushing, but it's coming from all this work that you did because you know how to optimize the conversion rate. You worked in your store. You were literally like doing everything to get there. And if you look at it from a zoomed out perspective, you run the ads, you see that you get some sales, they're male. So you target male. Then you see it's a male audience and they're interested in barbecue, then you target barbecue. So essentially you're using data to get to the market that's actually out there. But it feels like initially when you did the research, when you did your work, you did not align with the market. So that's just to let you know. I know it's when you zoom in, it feels like you're not succeeding. But when you zoom out, you're just following kind of like a path. And again, 0 to 10K right away. That's because you actually, you found the way. That's it.
Yeah, product market fit. That's all it came down to. But I think initially, it took me 18 months to really, get to that stage. First of all, I was very aware of, shiny object syndrome. I didn't want to just, give up after a few months. I really believed in my initial product, and I thought, okay, this is, it's well made, it's well crafted, it's, but yeah, just couldn't make it work. And, Heyman, I think we went through the stage where, we optimized the website so we could tick that box and no, it's not the website. We'd worked on the ads. It's not the ads. It's not the creatives. Because actually my creators were getting, clicks, but it was just nobody was spending the money. Yeah, converting. So we ticked all these boxes. And then finally, that's when I thought back, okay, is it the product? Could it be the product that is not right? So I had a very soul-searching month or two with this. What should I do? And do I, I didn't really want to change. I thought, no, I'm giving up. But when I went through when I crunched the numbers, when I looked at everything, it's like, no, it's got to be this. It's not the right product. And I was initially thinking maybe it's not the right niche. I need to completely do something, totally different. And yeah, had started going back through the ecom training again, watching those first initial modules, product selection, and kind of shortlisted some other niches and products. And, fortunately I reached out to Sasha, and he's like, hang on, you've got an audience within this niche, find a different product. And, that's probably, a very good piece of advice. And so, yeah, went down that path. Okay, what can we do? Let's find some other products within this, barbecue niche that could sell.
What just to pause for 1 second before we go into, I guess, like how things really picked up quite quickly. What was because you mentioned the shiny object syndrome, you mentioned that kind of ability to probably be like, patient and really want to eliminate all of the potentials that might kind of not be the product. Let's get the website. Let's get the creatives. Let's get it's like you really went through in a very thorough manner. And I think massive kudos to this because like you exhibit a lot of like patience and like ability to be consistent with the actions despite results being up, down, not where you want them to be. And people, they don't do that. They have 1 month, maybe 6 weeks of results are not where they want them to be. And then they just like crumble and they blame the product, they blame the ad, whatever it might be. And then it's like at the end of the day, they actually put themselves in a worse position because they don't kind of like tick off all the boxes of like, test this, try this, test this, try this. I had a founder on a coaching call maybe a month ago, and she was like, I just launched my brand, and she's like, I need some help. I'm like, what's the problem? And she was like, well, I'm 2 weeks in and I've only made $3,000. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, and how much have you spent on ads? And she's like, well, 1,150. And I was like,
sounds like you're winning.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Am I seeing?
You're winning.
What's the problem here?
What's the problem here?
Like, I'm not going fast enough. I'm like, well, spend more freaking money on ads.
And actually, we talked about this as well, like just with Paul. He was like, when we got to 3K, he was like, I'm getting like, I was like getting 10 ROAS. Right now, I'm getting like 5 or 6. And we like literally went from 3K to 11K, and we're right now doing probably around 15K. So he was like, but the ROI is a little bit lower, but like you're banking profit levels of the sales of last month.
Yeah.
So what matters?
Yeah. If you got volume, the ROAS is less important, right? Yeah.
So talk
Sometimes
me through.
it takes another person to point that out to you.
Talk me through the way that you thought about the business, Paul, that had you consistently like see it through, consistently execute, consistently and diligently check off all of those items, the creative, the website, all those things. How did you think about it in terms of that ability to just be very stable and regimented with the consistency?
Well, first of all, I saw other people selling this product online, so I thought if they can do it, I can do it, and it must be a market out there for something, right? So I thought I've just got to stick with it, right? I've got to do it, and I'm kind of, I'm a big believer of, systems over motivation, right? So get up every morning, commit to 60 minutes to jump online, fix the store, do whatever, right? So and that's kind of what I've done for the first 18 months at least, is get up and, commit a certain amount of time every day just to getting it done and seeing that through. And, I am a fairly self-disciplined person. So for me, it's not that, committing to something like that is not it.
And also just for notes, like you're working full time, like you did all of this while working full time. And I remember I actually asked you, I was like, how much you're putting in this? Like, I'm working like 40 plus hours per week. I'm like, wow. And you're doing this business.
Well, I'm even more. I work probably, 10-hour days, so 50 hours a week, plus the business, plus, trying to keep fit and, everything else that goes with it. Right. And certainly earlier this year, my life has gotten a whole lot more busier. I had a baby daughter as well.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. So it actually means I'm probably not. I'm not putting in an hour every day, but I'm. I'm finding time where I can.
Yeah, just to kind of position like history. We had the business was kind of like not really moving, and then there was one moment I remember. We hop on a call, and I'm like, "Hey, what's happening?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to be pivoting to this new product, but I'm not sure about the budget. I just I don't have right now. I don't have a job. I'm traveling. I remember you were in another city or something, and it was no job." And then literally the person, the company is bankrupt. You're like, hey, they're not there anymore. So you don't have any person technically that you can rely on. We're going to be suing them. It's just something like that. And I was like, wow. And I'm going to be launching a new product. Like, hey, that's another thing.
Yeah, it all kind of came together sort of around, end of May. Went into work one day and basically my employer told us, look, we're closing, bye-bye, right? And, and it was very sudden. So 100 employees all kind of gone. And basically, 4 months out of salary.
Jeez.
So, and I just had a baby girl and, and then, so that happened very suddenly. Then, then I had an injury, blew my meniscus in my knee and had to have knee surgery at the same time. So it all kind of came together, and it was very good timing, right? If you're going to have knee surgery and have to have time off work, I couldn't have lost my job at a better time. And also put me back home, brand new baby daughter. So I had a couple of months at home just, to spend with her and.
Worked out well.
So it all came together.
What a blessing.
Then, let's launch a new product as well. So and it's funny, you kind of think, okay, no job, you've got a lot more time to spend on business, but it didn't really work out like that. I became a full-time dad, 24/7. Previously with my day job, I could kind of, sneak in a bit of work at, in my lunch break, or maybe going to work a bit earlier, get things done and that on the business. But, when you kind of lost that. But yeah, anyway, it worked out.
Yeah, but I remember you attended the call and hey, okay, I'm launching a new product. And I remember actually it was I asked you how much time, hey, I have no job, but I'm not free. I'm like, that's weird. Hey, I was like, that's not normal. And it was okay, how much budget do we have? So we talked about the budget. I remember vividly talking about how we want to limit the risk. Let's just put in $3,000. That was actually the amount. And let's test a product with $200. And I actually mentioned, if I was in your position, And I mentioned this strategy in a previous episode, like we talked about this, Sasha, as well. Like, what would you do is going to be really limiting the risk in terms of your budget and really going more with the advertising rather than the inventory. And we mentioned, well, let's go at Amazon, the validation process that eCom Capital have, like the Jungle Scout, everything we talked about. Let's use that, but just to limit the risk of inventory. And this is when we started that principle of we test an idea for $200. And I remember you messaged me right away the next 3 days. It's live and I have 5 sales and we can't fulfill the order. I was like, wow, we have a new problem.
So that's, product validation, that is the single best way to validate a product is create a product page and just start running ads.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's it. So don't. And the thing was, I didn't have a physical product. But these days you don't need it. I pulled a bunch of photos. I found a product and basically, took photos and went on Canva and created images. I hopped on ChatGPT, re-engineered photos, competitors' photos, and just put them on there.
The only thing to this, Paul, is that like say for example, if you had done exactly the same thing, but you had no social presence, no like brand or credibility of the site, ordinary crummy images of the stock photos of a new brand, no kind of, like I said, social media following, all those things, I don't know if it would have gone exactly the same way, because obviously, like I said, you've built this certain credibility, there's reviews, the brand looks more trustworthy, and people might have clicked onto the product page and they've seen, oh, this looks like a fantastic company and this must be their newest product, boom, buy. So
I think skills. Yeah,
it's a huge thing.
That's a whole thing.
Just getting the look and feel right. I think, initially when I did launch the store, it wasn't great, and it's a process you've got to go through to refine things and get them, looking the way they should, right?
And I remember your messages on school. Hey, I'm getting 5 sales. What to do? And then 3 days later, I have 6 sales. It's just we're getting more sales every day. I remember the school messages you were sending me, hey, I'm getting sales. It's working finally.
That's right. So with that product, so I realized I had a good product there, and so I did get some samples in. But then I realized with that product, it was basically a collapsible container, and I was, the idea was sell it as a set. But when I got the physical product, and the size of it and the shipping was prohibitive, it was going to cost me more than the product to ship it. So that was okay, because I'm in Hong Kong, right? So everything I've got to send.
Strong pain. Do this again. And we just had a little bit of success. So think about this. I actually believe that 9 out of 10 businesses would go bankrupt if they just follow, let's say, oh, let's just do this thing insanity again, where we're going to keep going into something that doesn't work. And then we're going to do it again and again and again, because you have 2 options. You see a little bit of sales. It's a little bit exciting, but you see it's not doable. But you still can pursue it and kind of wait another 18 months and burn all the capital thinking that you can make it happen. Or you take the pain, do another product. And this is that change. That's 18 months of preparation to do this.
So that's basically what happened. This product's not viable, but I'm onto something with this niche. So jump online, find another product. Obviously being mindful of shipping costs, because I ship from Hong Kong. So, air freight and everything. So came across the next product, which was, 300 grams or something, so easy to post. So check that. Then just started running ads again for that. Created product page, run ads for this barbecue blanket, and that took right off. That even better than the first product that I tried.
Wow.
Yes, and I remember. I checked my messages. 8 ROAS.
I think it was it was in less than a day when I first started running ads. I was already getting the sales, and I think we started on $20 a day, and within a few days, I'm like, okay, I've got a bunch of sales. I've actually got to stop. Well, I didn't stop the ads. I just wound it back to $5 a day, and sales still kept coming in. And then it was a bit of a scramble to find samples, communicate with vendors, do all that, and get a product in my hand.
Yeah.
Fortunately, here in Hong Kong, it's very easy and very quick for me to get samples. So I think within a few days, I'd got a sample. Communicated with the vendor, and managed to get a logo and everything, and kind of went from there. And then once I did, put in an order for that product, I got it within 7 to 10 days.
So good.
So I was able to basically at the end of August. So basically ran these ads at the beginning of August, and by the end of August, the last week of August, I actually had the product in my house and was sending it out to fulfill those orders. So sort of in the meantime, I emailed everybody and said, look, sorry, I've got a delay on sending this out. And I think I had about 25 orders at that stage. I think I had one person kind of say, well, it would have been nice if you mentioned it when I bought it. Everyone else was fine. And even somebody was like, thanks for letting me know.
Messaged, you told me like, hey, I have a winner. And then you also you got a new job, right? It's like, hey, I have a new job. And
everything happened at once, man.
Yes.
Yeah,
like, and then we have a call, and then you're in a new environment. I remember it's like a new place. Like, hey, what's happening? It's like, this is my new job. I'm like, okay, new job. So scaling.
That was the other thing. I mean, I was at that stage as well. I was thinking, okay, I might have to move countries because well, you know, here in Hong Kong is not a big place, right? And executive chef positions are not that, you know, they're few and far between. Fortunately, I did get another job, a better job, better pay, all better conditions, everything. So it all kind of worked out in the end.
Nice.
And I was able to stay here. So that side of things went very well. But yeah, back to the product. So moved, and then I think within 7 to 9 days, I sold out that initial batch, because as soon as I got the product in my house, I really sort of ramped up the ad spend and moved 100 units within 9 days or something.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we funded also a detail. You funded the purchase of inventory from the profit. So for us to actually get this moving, literally, like we needed capital, because you're doing, let's say, 10K plus, and you're like, hey, let's take $3,000 or $4,000 and just buy some inventory. And you started kind of building this new business from scratch with actually the business funding itself. So that's something to note.
Yeah. So I think I finished. I finished September. You know, 11 grand or so in sales, and had like a $3,000 profit. But that also included inventory, like 200 units of inventory for the next month. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So after replenishing
plus the inventory.
Yeah. Wow. So after replenishing inventory for the next month, still having another 3,000 in profit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Damn, that's fantastic.
After running ads. Yeah.
Wow.
So
it's like a 50% profit plus. It's like a really
very good. Very good.
So net profit is like 40%, I think. Yeah, it's very good. I mean, I include shipping in my, you know, basically free shipping. Shipping is my biggest expense. Product cost is like, you know, $6 or $7. Shipping is $14 or something.
Wow. Got it.
Yeah. So that's kind of my next challenge, is how to get that shipping cost down.
Of course. And we were discussing a little bit about this earlier in terms of some of those potential solutions around that with some of our partners and potential kind of like exclusive vendors that we have in Ecom Capital. So Paul, super cool story. I want to the thing that I'd like to just understand about a little bit more is, so when you because so the time when you launched originally, right, you had the product, you did the research, you went through and kind of like purchased a product, had it in your hands, started creating the content, and like it's like the time that it took you to launch the first product versus the second product. One, months and months and months and months. Other one, I'm not sure, arguably probably a week, maybe max 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm just curious. So like, how would you, like, say, for example, now with like the way that you think about what you've seen, the speed that you executed stuff on, like talk me through, like if you were to relaunch again way back at the start, what would you do different? Maybe for someone listening that's like in that same mode and they're maybe trying to get it all perfect before it launches and they're going into way too much detail. Just talk me through how you might think about that with the knowledge and the results of what you've seen now with a shorter amount of time. How would you think about it differently?
Well, you know, I probably, you know, the best way to validate, it all comes down to your product, right? You've got to have the right product. And maybe not every product it might be a good product, but it might not be a fit for online selling, right? And I think that's the problem I had with my very first product. It was a good product, but it just didn't, I don't know, not suitable for e-commerce. It doesn't come across well.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would do is literally just build a product page and validate that product. Get the right product. validation, and that's it. I wouldn't worry about building an email list. I wouldn't spend too much time on, brand logos or colors, all these other things that you tend to waste a lot of time on. Well, I did anyway. I spent 2 weeks making a logo.
Run the ads, create the page, run the ads.
Get a product page,
but keep in mind,
the ads. That's it.
I talked about this. Like we talked about this in this app, like in the podcast. We mentioned like 2019. This is what I was doing. Literally, create a page, run the ads. Create a page, run the ads.
And don't worry if you don't have any. Heyman, I didn't have any content. I didn't have a product, right, when we started running these. So basically, what did I do? Went online, got some images, photoshopped them, canvaed them, regenerated them, made them look decent, and built my product page using, borrowed and generated photos. And I still do. I've only just got my photos back from my photographer a day and a half ago, so I haven't had time to get them online yet.
But the key thing there, Paul, is what you mentioned. So it's like, so the thing that I've noticed about you as a founder is you also that lean and scrappy approach of like get the photos, get the images, borrow, you know what I mean, like regenerate, whatever the process is. Some people, and I've seen people, they get stuck there, meaning oh wow, this is working. I'm making money with crappy photos and ordinary quality product. So what I can tell about you, which is what's really been like underpinning behind this whole entire mission for you, is to build and create really high quality products that you can build a good, strong, sustainable business from. And so what I also can tell is that as you're, going through this lean and scrappy phase of grabbing, borrowing, images and regenerating, et cetera, repurposing, it's into the direction of building and taking that product and then beginning to get good quality content, making sure the product quality is exceptional, making sure that like as you continue scaling this now, people are going to love this product and it's going to be the best thing that they've ever had. You know what I mean? It's not, okay, cool. Well, I've got this, lean and scrappy setup. Let me see how much money I can just make off this crappy situation. It's like overpromise, underdeliver. Like you're like, let's do it, but let's build and build and build and build and build and improve along the whole way. And I think that's where the real focus needs to be for people who run this strategy, because I've seen people jump in, run it for too long, and then their business tanks because they're selling crap and it looks like crap, and eventually it all just comes crumbling down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, to be honest, I'm not very happy with my product page. Because the quality of the images and things I've got on there. Yeah, if you look closely, you can see where I've kind of patched on a logo.
But still, we're gonna analyze like some numbers. I actually have your numbers. Yeah, I actually have your numbers. I'm looking at them. So you have 2.3 conversion rate in the last 7 days. You're about 4K per week. Your AOV is about 118. You're about 5 extra ads, I think. So probably there are some things we can improve, but your numbers are actually pretty good. You're still very profitable. You're running the business and you're scaling it.
And the way I think about it as well is how much, if I actually had better images, how much more profitable would I be? Because I'd probably be converting that much more. I could bump the price up a little bit as well, and and just whatever. But it all comes down to having a convincing product page.
I remember you were gonna do something. It was 2 weeks ago actually. We had a call where it was like, I have a slow week, and you had this campaign that you paused, and it was like, maybe I should do this new thing. I'm like, no, reopen the campaign. We don't have enough data. You just reopen it, you're scaling back again. I'm like, you still had those kind of moments where you're like, hey, let's do this thing. I'm like, no, maybe you just stick to the same thing. So this is just something I remembered.
I mean, that's a great thing about our calls, Heyman, is you always bring me back on track, right? Because sometimes, and I think everyone, you need to have that external feedback, right? Because it doesn't matter how long you've been doing something. Sometimes you can, you get the blinders on and you think, okay, let's go down this path, and it could have been detrimental. That ad campaign that I paused, it was just a bad week or whatever, or a slow week. Fortunately, I've restarted, and now it's like the core thing kind of to the whole ad campaign. Heyman's just taken those ads and put them in a cost cap campaign yesterday. That launched at 1 o'clock this morning, and I had like a sale automatically within like 4 hours from that. So yeah,
That's what we want. What's the future in terms of this? Like, how are you strategizing for the future with this product, Paul? What's next in terms of, I guess, like monthly targets? Like, where are you kind of like focused on getting to with this current strategy at the moment, this current product?
Well, basically what I wanted is keep scaling it. So my goal for this month was 15,000, hit 15,000 in sales, but Eamon mentioned yesterday that's too low. You got to aim bigger. So
You're already doing it. That's the thing. You're already doing it. Like you're telling me like something that you already have. Like you like last 30 days, you're already like 12K, 30K. Like it's 13K. You're already doing the 15K minus 2K, and we're already doing 4K a week. So you're telling me something that we already have. I'm like, why would you look at that? Like, what's the target?
yeah, yeah. So it's really scale, and I guess drive revenue with this one product as much as possible, and then probably later on maybe diversify into other products within that same niche. But I really want to spend the time on this, getting it right, getting the product page and getting the ads running and fully optimized before I kind of branch out. Yeah.
So to go over some of your numbers, like just to analyze them, just in terms of giving you some direct like inputs in your business. So what I'm seeing so far, I'll just kind of like do quickly like some numbers here. So your CPA is about 20, $30, like $30, I think, like around in that range, like 30 maybe. Your like AOV is 118. You're already very profitable with a 2.3 conversion rate. So if I was to think about your business, you need more volume. That's what you're actually at right now, because you can scale much higher just by increasing the volume. Like there's no reason for us to technically right now fix the funnel if it's making more than 30% profit and it's just scalable. Like you just can increase the budget. So one of my main recommendations for you in terms of the media buying, and I know Sasha would actually tap into that supply chain that you have, because I know that it's really draining your resources. I'm thinking about, well, I need to put in more capital and I need to do this. But so far, you're very profitable. You need to increase your budget. And literally in a call, what did we do? We created a new campaign. It's going to be a higher budget. We're going to start scaling with cost cap, which is one of the advanced strategies that we help businesses with. And that's going to be the main direction. You need to track your 7 days spent. And you need to look at every single week, we need to increase the ad spend 20% to even 50%. If you keep doing this, your business will double, triple in the next 2 months. There's no reason for you to not scale. Just track last 7 days, put in the compare versus a week before. It should be more than 20%. If you're less than 20%, you're not scaling enough.
Okay. Yeah.
And we have a client. Actually, I think like her name is Shelby, and she did this like business for 3 years, where she was like never above $500 in sales, and she came to eCom Capital, like I think it was like 8 months ago, and right now she's like 30K plus a month. And you know what she did? 3 years of doing the same thing, and we didn't really shift the brand or anything. So she just started tracking the 7 days spent and just increasing, if it's what, like just increasing the ad spend. And soon enough, she's like, hey, Heyman, by the way, I'm doing 30K.
Yeah. It takes money to make money, right? Yeah. Yeah. But that's kind of the thing as well. You've also got to have the right creatives. And I think that's probably something I've struggled a little bit with, is getting creatives, particularly for my barbecue niche. Because number one, I live in an apartment. I don't have a backyard. I can't. It's a challenge from but I'm selling a product that's all about outdoor cooking, right?
So true. So true.
So, for me to get content, I rely on other people in other places. So it's a bit more of a slower process. And the other thing is with my job as well, I can't really. I've got to be careful about putting my face on a product or a website. It's a bit of a grey area in terms of conflict of interest and things. So I'm wary of doing kind of founder-led content at this stage. So content is a bit of a challenge.
We need to scale. So essentially, you're telling me we need to scale right now. Like the business is funding itself. So we need to scale to get you out of the job right away, and then you don't have a problem. That's what you're telling me, right? We just need to scale more.
I mean, that's the goal, and I think that's kind of why I started this whole thing in the first place, was to have an alternative income stream and eventually get out of my day job and be able to do this.
There's an interesting angle here, Paul. So some years ago, my wife, she used to have an Instagram page, and it was quite. she wanted to build this like audience and this following, but she didn't want to have her face attached with it and associated with it. So what she would do, she created this Instagram handle that was like the masked food blogger. And then what she would do is she would go to cafes, restaurants and stuff like that. And I would be subject to taking the photos of her. But she would be there and then she would bring like, you know, different masks. Maybe there's like a Iron Man, maybe there's like a Batman, and so she would sit there with like this mask on in front of like this, you know, spread of food. And the whole objective initially for her was just to get the food for free. She was like, I'd love to just go to a place and sit down and then they'd bring the food because I'm the masked food blogger. And nobody knows, so very mysterious. It's like the Batman. Oh my God, who's the Batman? And there's another client that I mentioned a similar thing to, where it's like, it's a very interesting and compelling hook almost to be like, my boss would literally fire me if he found out I was building this business. Here, check this out, what we're doing here today. Here's how I'm sneaking this product in and around. Like, I'm not sure, like, there's so much like conflict and so much like tension in content like that. So I just think it's an interesting thing you could potentially play with, is like, how could you be this unknown masked avatar that's like creating all this there's another guy that I follow on Instagram, and I think he has like 2 million plus followers, and he's this guy and all he does is he has a camera set up, and he always films himself like doing big heavy lifts, like a squat or a deadlift or something like that, right? And so it's like him dressed in like full-blown jeans, a full-blown like long sleeve like shirt, like a zip, like kind of like an outdoorsy type shirt, a hat, and it's his back facing against the wall. You can't see any of the guy at all, and you just see his back like squatting, and that's it. And then you see his back like pressing some big thing, and I kid you not, tens of thousands of comments on this profile, and I'm like, everyone's probably more interested because they're seeing just his back. And they're like, who is this monster of a man that's lifting 600 kilos? So I think there's like your biggest weakness can be your biggest reason to, you know, become like that, like that becomes your strong point. You can use that to feed into it and actually like use it as your, you know, big selling point. It's interesting, highly controversial. People absolutely love it. So depends on your risk appetite in terms of, you know what I mean?
No, that's very interesting. That's a great point.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So talking about, I guess, like scaling into this next level right now, are you seeing the strategy being like, let's just sell more units of this current product at the moment, or are you looking to also like expand and increase into maybe additional product lines or bundling things together, or like really focusing on this one product?
Yeah, for now, just focusing on this one product. Yeah, I really want to get that up, scale that, and then later on, I'll, you know, bring in some other products. But for now, just get this one going. Got
it. I see. Well, I mean, and so at the moment, it sounds like that from your view, Paul, what do you think the biggest blocker is at the moment to being able to double ad spend tomorrow? Like, what's stopping you from doing that?
Well, you know, I think it's, you know, definitely content creation and creatives is probably my block, and you know, my other big block is just time. I'm incredibly time poor, and so, but you know, one of the interesting things about having a child, it's, you know, sort of made me make the most of the time that I do have, right? So, okay, if I've only got 30 minutes to spend on my business, I better make that 30 minutes count, right? So I kind of, you know, stop fluffing around and, you know, really do the things that are important, do the things that are going to drive the most result. So, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, time is a challenge for me.
So I'll give you like a little bit of structure here, because like just you mentioned time and then you mentioned creatives, and obviously we talked about volume. So because I talked about the volume for the ads, I'll give you some direction here. So in the modules, actually Sasha did an update with AI. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's really like a new update around how he is using certain tools to actually get some concepts. And if you look at that training, in my opinion, like you can get to 7-figure per month easy without a lot of, let's say, even experience. But look at that structure and think about, well, I have very limited time. This is a place where I can trust that, I can use this information and really scale to the next level. And in my opinion, if you implement that, you should be able to gain time and just speed right away in terms of content. And a lot of tools that we leverage in this tutorial are actually pretty easy to use.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have a lot of complexity. And Sasha went into details in terms of how to use them. And also I share templates all the time and creatives, and you can use that. But the goal would be using that for that kind of getting that things moving. And as I mentioned, 7-figure, but I think you can actually get to 8-figure plus. But just 7-figure, I would say, would be not necessarily hard if you implement these things just by following the plan. So that's the first thing I would recommend you do on top of the creative structure that we mentioned that you need to scale into. That cost cap, that's going to be very scalable. So you need to really get into that. So that's my view on that part. I would probably not recommend any adjustment in the website, no adjustment in the AOV for now, just a little bit, because we're 40% profit. I'm thinking more about volume. Logistic wise and everything else, I'll let Sasha kind of lead on that, but that's my view so far.
Yeah, I definitely, I just want to share this because this is very, very consistently. I'll just share the screen for a moment. I always see people have issues with creatives because this is essentially the process or the timing as far as like creative performance versus fatigue. So you've got your testing kind of like phase where, ads are like learning, they're in learning phase. This is like from day 0 to day 4. And this is why what we always say is like 3 to 4 days, you need to keep that at that same level and you can't touch anything. You must like remain consistent. From day 4 through up until I guess like 14, 15, that's like your peak scale phase. You know what I mean? This is where you typically have the best performance and you start to really see things ramp up. It's like, whoa, like we're on, it's really starting to come up. And then after that, 14 to I guess like 30, you've got this, this is the crucial phase where you need to be replenishing, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens all the time that I see is I was on a call the other night with a couple of founders and they mentioned, creative's an issue. I'm like, showed this thing and like, well, are you over here plus 30 days looking at creatives and being like, oh yeah, my creatives don't work, but you have nothing new in the pipe. You know what I mean? And so you're over here and then you let it get to the decline where it's rubbish. And then you look for like the market's an issue, maybe the economy, maybe there's something going on. And it's like, and then when you do finally get to the point where it's like, hey, it's just the creatives and they really are pretty ordinary. Then there's another 2 weeks here of wasted time by the time you actually, get new creatives, have them edited. And so it's like your business is constantly in this like feast and famine cycle because of you not having enough. And I like to think of it like, it's like wood in a fire. It's like if you have wood and you're like trying to build a fire, like you would not like put a little bit of wood and then walk away from the fire and then wait for the fire to go out and then come back again and be like, oh shit, I'll start it again. You just and obviously you don't smother it.
Keep feeding it.
But you don't smother it. You don't put so much wood on because then it kills the fire and it just goes out. So it's like gradually, you're continuing to build on like the flames so that it can continue burning. And it's very much the same, like keeping in that optimal stage here where you've got good, strong, sufficient supply in the pipeline. And then they're always in this testing phase. Then you have this like optimal scaling window where you're just like pushing creatives, really, really, really ramping them up. And then if they are getting into this phase, you're cutting and replenishing before they get to this decline. So you're always optimal in this particular position here. And I think, so, like I said, so many people, they wait until this end where it's like burnt out, just absolute flat line. And then it's like, okay, all right, let's go into emergency crisis mode to find some new creatives versus like proactively solving that problem over and over again. And so from what I hear and understand, it seems as though being very surgical and like what you said earlier, Paul, it's like you're very disciplined, you're very consistent. That's not an issue. So like if I was you, I would be timing the stages in your production line of creatives and be like, okay, takes this long to get them back from creator, takes this long to get them edited and reviewed and into like full ad ready production, post approval, it's good to go. Takes this long for them to be. And so at any given moment, you've got this many ads in this stage, this many ads in this stage, this many ads in this this stage, this many ads are live, this many ads in fatigue mode, and this many ads have been turned off. And so you're just like, it's the same as you would do. I imagine, I have no idea about this, but it kind of just makes sense right now. Maybe you can tell me otherwise. In the kitchen, you might have all the different food prepared at different stages, such that when you make the meal for dinner, you can go and put it onto the plate, and everyone's served and everyone's happy. But it comes in that preparation work. If you don't do the prep work, you're trying to send out a dish, and then you're like, oh my God, we've got to randomly do all this stuff bespoke ad hoc. So I think this is the big delta for you at the moment, to really drill into this and focus as much energy on optimizing each of those stages. Because the way that I see it is like the main kind of like outcome that you want to get through, like really consistently doing that process, is you want to know 2, 3, maybe 4 strong angles that you're like, this is what people respond to. This is the way the product sells. It's this angle using this particular hook, this particular sequence. And so I would also be heavily optimizing more so for hooks over full-blown bodies, right? One company that absolutely crushes at this, and it probably pays to have a look at them, is True Classic. I don't know if you've seen the T-shirt company.
Oh, yeah, I'm wearing a shirt.
There you go. Yeah. Exhibit A, it works. But if you go through their ad library, and I've done this multiple times on several coaching calls, what they have is they have one body, right, of an ad. And then they have that same body has, in their ad account, you can see probably 30 to 40 different hooks that plug into the same body of the ad, right? It's like, because the body itself, that sells, right? All you need to do is the hook is what steers that body into different audiences. It captures different people's attention. Maybe people are problem aware. Maybe people have the desire to cook. Maybe people have an existing product that's a little bit more ordinary. They want to replace those things. And so the hook is designed to just get the right person to pay attention, and then the body does the selling to go onto the product page, right? And so it's once you have that body in place and it's like strong and it's converting and it's good, the whole game is how can we test as many hooks as possible? Because if you're anything like any of the brands that I look at, like most ad accounts, they have a maximum of like 2 to 4 second views in terms of video views. Like no one watches the full 90 seconds. And so if you think about it from it's like investment into this content production. You're essentially like, for example, investing into these editors to complete this, 60 second, 90 second video, of which people only watch 3 or 4 seconds and burn. So you're essentially paying for that remaining 50, 60 seconds for no one to ever watch ever again. You know what I mean? And so if you think about where is the best, this is what you said before, I'm really becoming hyper obsessive with my time. There's one book I'm reading at the moment that I love. Is Peter Drucker's Effective Executive. And he talks about one concept and principle to what you just mentioned there, time. Effective executives, they know exactly where their time goes, and they're able to, actually allocate time into the things that are going to make the biggest impact. And so what we're doing here, you're really time poor. You've got kid you've just had, you've got this job situation, you've got this business that's demanding growth from you. So it's like your time needs to be on the areas that are going to generate the most ROI. And so if you think about that from the creative realm, you're going, okay, I need to get better creatives so that we can scale. Well, you don't need to get better creatives, you need to get better hooks, truthfully, right? And it's like, if you think about that from a force multiplier lens, the hooks, as far as like your scale of what you could produce in hooks, you like 3 to 5 seconds versus 60 seconds. Like you should theoretically be able to produce 10 to 20x the amount of hooks versus these full blown ads. And then you take those 10 to 20 times the amount of hooks, scale them into different audiences, test so many different concepts in a much shorter amount of time so that you can get the outcome you want. So I probably want you to narrow the focus a little bit rather than like, let's get 3 ads this week and let's spend this money. And then the 3 ads, no one's going to watch most of those ads anyway. And like, try again next week.
Yeah. Think about it like wasted food, like just in general. Like think about like if you really treat it like you treat media buying like cooking, you're gonna actually be very successful. That's my view on it. And if you look at the hooks, it's just tasting. It's just tasting a little bit. And they don't actually do anything else, just taste it a little bit. If it's really tasting good, then they want to watch more or eat more. If it doesn't taste well, then they're going to just like, I don't want it. So if you think about that, then you know they're going to just taste and make a decision. Then what would you focus on? That first part, like they're going to taste and they're going to enjoy the rest of the meal.
Get them in the door, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Just resource allocation into the part of that kind of content creation process that's going to generate the best ROI. That's really how you want to be focusing in terms of like where you're pouring your attention into, because that's what's going to give you, and like simple things such as like researching through all of your, for example, like comments on all of your videos, researching on all of the comments on all of your what's called organic content, researching on all of the reviews through Amazon, scraping all those things, looking for exactly one thing that I built for the clients. And I'm not sure if you saw that demo where it's like the GPT built around what customers are saying, like everything that you can do to really make those hooks sound exactly like what your customers would say. That's what you want to do. Spend all that time there. So like I said earlier, around that mirror effect, the customer reads that or listens to that first 3 seconds and they're like, oh my goodness, this is exactly like, what is this person are they in my head right now? It doesn't sound like, generic sales copy trying to ram it down your throat. It's like, oh, wow, this is exactly for me. And I think that level, if you look at what's happened with the product, so the product's made an impact in terms of like it being a product market fit. And so now what you want to do is you want to be taking the product because it's frankly almost selling itself. And then you want to really amplify that by getting hyper specific and very detailed in terms of we've got a product that's working. How could I use the exact language of the person that wants this thing to amplify these results even further in the copy, in the videos, in the messaging, on the sales pages, everywhere. It's like small tweaks to that language such that when the ideal customer lands there, they're like, is this made for me?
It really resonates with them. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I've never felt like more compelled to buy this thing. Boom, purchase. And this is the point right now where it's like volume on the creative side, but volume with the right focus on those kind of hooks that really can pinpoint the words in the minds of your potential customers, and then just optimizing the heck out of like those key small pieces of language. I think will really start to give you good, strong kind of like conversion increases and also like profit increases as you continue scaling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. No, it sounds like good advice.
Very good. Anything on your end, Hammond, that you might add to that overall?
Yes. So just in terms of the optimization, we talked about this, but we're going to be working on this together, but we have like a structure for creative testing. And I don't know if I actually shared this with you, but we have a template that we're right now using for businesses that are scaling from 10 to 100K, where they add the concept and the creatives and they organize essentially how they optimize. So that cooking space, think about it again, we're cooking. If you come to a kitchen and it's messy, would you actually be able to do a good dish? Most of the time, probably not. So the goal here is to organize and have really a system that would work. And right now we're sharing this. Obviously, we already have some systems, but we're improving the system so that businesses are scaling much more effectively. So this is something that I'll share with you as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, sounds good.
The other thing also that we discussed there, Paul, is certainly I would highly recommend that investigation into working with our supplier there or our sourcing agent, and we can help to make some connections around that, because if assuming that we can work that out and you can get the same quality product delivered direct to the customer through their kind of warehousing situation, like the simplicity wow.
You have what we call a crypto store. Like there's a term, like it's like crypto store scale.
A lot of the time I do spend on the business, it's order fulfillment now.
100%.
It's a good problem to have, but if I could, outsource that, means I can get that time back and be able to spend it on, creatives and things. Yeah. So yeah.
I know I mentioned here a term, but just to let you know, just as a side note, but like I mentioned this to Sasha, we have some stores in ecom capital that we call the crypto stores. It's just extremely scalable. It feels like almost like not real. And most of the time, these businesses, they have like really like they just launch and just like get to the next level, 10K, 20K, 50K. It's like it feels like it just doesn't even feels real. Like getting to 200K in let's say 3 months. So when you look at them, they actually have that leverage of fulfillment. So it's very much an easy fulfillment, and they have good margins, obviously, and they have everything that your business is right now working with. If I was to think about if we add that fulfillment structure, you're a crypto store. That's my view on it.
Yeah. I think those are probably the biggest deltas that I would focus on, Paul, is definitely like first things first, like really, really looking at how, because like if you were to say, for example, 2x the time, or 2 or 3x the time that you need to spend on creatives, it's going to need to be robbed from somewhere else. You know what I mean? So I think a big thing is like, rip into this fulfillment thing. Can we solve that problem with some of our partners? Is that possible? If yes, let's like refine that process to get it to the point where it's optimal for my business. Quality, fulfillment, messaging, packaging, all of the good things that come with those products when they get delivered. Boom. Once that's done, then you've got all of this extra time that you can really pour into creative development and all those good things. And it's like so much more opportunity for you to start focusing on those revenue generating activities. And you'll notice your business will explode based on the time that you spend in the revenue generating activity time versus fulfilling orders. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. No.
Nice. Very good.
And think about this also, like think about right now you're like, let's say, positioning a couple of hours per week and you're making 4K. If I was to look at Paul putting 40 hours in this business, it's going to be insane. So I want to start looking at that growth.
That's what's in my mind as well. Like if I can, make, 10 grand or whatever it is a month with only a few hours work, if I was to, double that or triple my effort, it's really unlimited. Or if I was to spend the same amount of time in my day job on this business, the sky is really the limit.
And so I think the way that I like to think of this, and this is a very, very good concept. I've seen a lot of people get too ambitious and do this too early, and they, oh my God, my business is making a little bit of money. Let's jump out of my job. And so it's like, I think the rule of threes is kind of like what I like to optimize for here. So it's like, do it once, it might have been luck. Do it twice, maybe it's me. Do it 3 times, undeniable, I controlled the outcome. Yeah. And so what I would be optimizing for if I was you is I'd be going 1 month of in excess of my monthly income through my job. 2nd month, in excess of monthly income. 3rd month of the same. And I'm like, okay, geez, this is becoming unreasonable for me to continue dedicating time to some other area. Like I'm literally doing this with like 6-7 hours a week and it's making 2x my job's income. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like the proof becomes undeniable. So I think your perspective is heading in the right direction, but focus on the inputs, focus on the behaviors, focus on that consistency aspect and build towards that as the goal. Who knows, February, March next year, maybe we've got this really good rally of consistency and you're like, I really can't see this being valuable. I'm actually losing money in my business by not spending more time in it. I'm going to need to go all in. And that's when it becomes like a no-brainer kind of concept, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's good advice.
Very good. Very good. Well, Paul, look, this has been really, really transformative and very helpful to hear your perspective on the changes that you've been through in terms of like all of the different problems you've faced off with as a founder. I think it's like you've really handled a lot of the things with a grounded sense of like stability, consistency, long-term vision in terms of what you're building here, as far as like you're not building like a little flash in the pan company. You want to build something that's going to help you for years and years and years into the future. And I think a lot of people can get a lot of benefit from thinking through that same lens and applying your same level of consistency and patience and discipline to get those kinds of results. Because everything that I find that people quote unquote fail with is they have massive expectations in short amounts of time, and expectations don't live up because truthfully, they're just quite bad at a lot of the skills required to run the business. And then they don't have any runway or time for the skills to build up. And they go, well, this is just not for me. And that's probably the biggest thing I want to give you kudos for is just your dedication and your consistency to the game and really becoming good at this business to the point now where you're getting these results. And it's like, I mean, like, dude, what else did you expect was going to happen? Honestly. You know what I mean? You keep working at it, you keep pivoting, you keep learning, you keep adjusting, you keep showing up on calls. You're one of the most diligent people on calls in the community. You know what I mean? Despite all these challenges you've been through, you're still always showing up, asking questions. Sure, it's demotivating sometimes, but you're like, I'm here to learn. What's the next step? Where are we going to? And so many people, they just have 1 or 2 little bumps in the road. I'm not getting on the fucking calls this week. It's been a bad week. And it's like, those are the times you need it the most. And so that's probably the biggest thing that I appreciate and respect about you is that consistency and that discipline to do the things that are required, regardless of how you feel in those given moments. So I appreciate you heaps as a client, and really looking forward to seeing the evolution of the company and seeing the evolution of you also as a founder, because I think we're just getting started. So I appreciate it heaps.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Sasha. Thanks for all the advice and wisdom and everything. Very exciting time, I think, to be part of the community and growing this business. So I'm, tremendously excited for the future. Yeah.
Very good. Let's get that knee sorted and get you back out running marathons again, hey?
Oh, you betcha.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.